in this episode.
I feel really sick.
And it's not even probably because of Spurs.
Partly.
The Fantasy Football Show.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to episode 8 of Planet FPL. My name's Serge.
My name is James.
And this is where the world revolves around Fantasy Premier League. How are you?
I'm fucking awful.
Yeah, I know. You were not well during Planet FPL Live 2 on Saturday, but you soldiered through with the help of an old friend.
You're going to have to tell me out
Lager.
because I can't remember, mate.
It was a real good laugh, to be honest with you. We had a real good time with all of the people that came down to the show. We watched Norwich-Chelsea, if you remember, 3-2.
Was it?
Yep. We've got a really good meme coming up with James and Jeff, who jumped up when Chelsea scored over Tim Krul.
So funny. They saw a mirage, basically.
Yeah. Followed by live through the 3:00 games, which had the interesting kind of added spice of West Ham going up, getting level, and then going 3-1 up. United losing, which no one saw coming. Brighton losing, which I think was also a bit of a surprise. And then Leicester nicking it late against Sheffield United. Then we sat down and watched Liverpool-Arsenal. Do you remember much of that game?
Yeah, no, I do remember the games. I'm joking. To be honest, it's more the podcast. Like, if you ask me, what did we talk about during the podcast? I can't remember.
Yeah, it flew by.
The talking to people, the lads who stayed late with me till gone 10ish, that was all great, wicked. Yeah, really, really good day. Flew by. It's just a shame that I have not been sick like this in years. But yeah, the show goes on, right?
Yeah, and this 32-degree heat doesn't help. But by tomorrow it's getting cooler, and we're back to normal. Back to normal. Tell us about your FPL week.
Mediocre.
Yeah, above average.
Let's just say. I mean, I guess at this stage of the season, you can finish above the average and be contentish with that. I think once you get into the second half of the season, you need to be smashing the average because of the amount of dead teams out there.
Yeah.
But at this stage, majority of people are still live and they're using chips and that. So to finish above the average is okay. It's not a disaster. It was on the brink of glory, I guess. Friday night clean sheet from Heaton. Goal and assist in the Saturday lunchtime from Pookie. Assist from Martial in the 3:00. Assist from Trent in the 5:30. Liverpool 5 minutes from a clean sheet. Goal from Sterling on the Sunday. City losing their clean sheet to a postage stamp goal from Harry Wilson. And then Lucas Moura, captain Harry Kane, fell on the Sunday 4:30 for an overall of 48. Which was disappointing in the end because it was looking very, very promising sort of mid-Liverpool game.
48. Considering you had those assists and returns, that's not as high as I expected your score to be. I ended up on 46, so just a couple of points between us. At the back, I only had the one assist from Trent Alexander-Arnold. Everyone else was blanking for me, a couple of City and the triple Liverpool. Sterling obviously came through with the goal. Pookie did what Pookie does. Callum Wilson with his third assist in the season, missed the 5 points he's becoming. But apart from that, blanks all around for me as well. Not a great week at all, 46 points. But, hey-ho, what did that do to your overall rank?
Oh, I dropped about 20,000 places or something, I think. 1.05
Just outside the million. I'm 997,000. I dropped 150k.
It's not a big deal at the moment.
No. My game week rank for last week and this week were pretty much identical, 2.885 and 2.852 million. So bang in the middle of the pack there, which you'd expect on the average, of course.
What are we doing about Big at the Bank?
we didn't put out a people's poll this Monday because it was a bank holiday Monday, and to be honest, I watched the Villa Everton game, 2 games on the Sunday, Planet FPL Live and the beers. And I had to work on Sunday, Monday, get the violins out. So I actually took the Sunday, Monday properly off from FPL, as you did too, because you were under the weather. Had we put a poll out on the Sunday for our regular people's poll on Monday, And one of the options was, shall we stick it big at the back? I have no doubt that that would have been the winning choice from the people to discuss. What do we do with big at the back defenders?
Yeah, but that's for short pods. I don't think it would have fit into a short 25-minute
What do we
pod.
do with big at the back? So for clarity, I'm sitting on Trent Alexander-Arnold, VVD, and Robbo, VAR, plus Zinchenko, plus Edison.
I'm sitting on the same 4 defenders plus Kyle Walker and a 4.5 million goalkeeper. So I really do have a back 5. I think I'm a lot more content with this at the moment than you are.
I am definitely content for this week, but so let me ask you, there's the questions around tripling up on Liverpool. So I do feel like 2 is enough. And if I do downgrade Robertson to Dean and a couple of other moves that I'm thinking of making, I could probably afford Kevin De Bruyne in my midfield. So I feel like that's a reasonable exchange of value there. And I'm also a little uncomfortable around Zinchenko, not necessarily his performances and his ability, but Mendy is fit. So he could easily get rotated now that Ben the Shark is back. So I'm a little uncomfortable for 2 different reasons. Having 3 from one team hasn't proved fruitful yet. And the other is Zinchenko's potential rotation.
Yeah, I'm not worried about my Liverpool 3 at all, honestly. I'm looking at it now.
Not
and
a
going,
clean sheet in sight yet.
Last 2 game weeks, they've conceded a sloppy late goal. Otherwise, they're hitting the clean sheets. And I'm looking at, double points for Alexander-Arnold this week gone.
Plus some BPS, no doubt,
Sloppy
probably
in
as
the
well.
Norwich game as well. I do feel like it will level out a bit. Walker and Zinchenko are more of a concern because of not for this week, I don't think. Although it would probably be a good game for Cancelo to play. I only saw all of the first half of Man City on Sunday. Walker could have been sent off very easily, I thought. He got away with one that was a stick-on booking and then got booked for another late on tackle after that. And then he followed through on a third one, which wasn't even given as a foul. So I really think he could have got sent off. It's the sort of game you might think, I can stick Cancelo in. Zinchenko, I'm not worried about till after the international break. Guardiola's maintained all along that Mendy would need 4 to 6 weeks of extensive training before he would even consider him for selection. So I think that's probably game week 5 at the very, very earliest. So I'm less worried about Zinchenko at the moment. I do also feel that I do have the money to move to like Walker to Laporte and just continue and be a bit safer with it. I would like to, like everybody else, I would like to have De Bruyne, Sterling, Aguero, Mane, Salah all in my team and move away from it. But I also feel like, we kind of mentioned it a little bit on the short pod earlier, that there are many, many budget options in attacking areas that are now emerging, like your Pookies, obviously, Daniel James, Mason Mount. There's a number of them who are now coming into consideration that allows this balance of that heavy back 5 and still rotating captain pairs of 2, maybe even of 3 players.
Yep.
So I think were I to move away from the big back 5, it would be to downgrade probably Walker and Zinchenko and move it to Laporte for a back 4 and find a way to add De Bruyne or Aguero to my team. But I'm not desperate to move off the Liverpool 3. I just feel like they're just going to keep offering. Like Robertson in every game so far could have returned attacking returns.
100%. Yeah, he's been very far forward, and his stats indicate that he's playing well and far forward and creating chances.
If Matip don't score the first Liverpool goal on Saturday, they're going to get a penalty there, and Van Dijk's getting the assist. He's going to get on the end of a number. There's going to be a goal. I've said this all season. There's going to be a game soon. Alexander-Arnold assist, Van Dijk goal. I've got no problem with them. Yeah, it's going without Salah Mane, but I've maintained. People are obviously going to sort of scrutinise it after Kane's performance at the weekend.
And Salah's double goals.
But I'm very happy with that Sterling-Kane rotation. And I'd probably even... City's fixtures were amazing until they play Liverpool in 12, right? Could even go Aguero or Sterling and Sterling, and if I wanted to get rid of Kane, that's the most likely thing I'd do. If I was gonna sell Kane, which I have no intention of doing, I'd probably go for Aguero. And then just have Sterling and Aguero and make the choice each week which one I wanted to go for, depending on the fixture.
Yes. I am also very tempted to stick with it for a couple of reasons. One was the thing that you mentioned around Liverpool's attacking kind of heat maps and the stats on XG, XA, all of that kind of stuff. Trent's had a couple of attacking returns. VVD's had one, right? I looked at the list of top scoring defenders by points so far this season. You have to go down to about 16th before you get any Liverpool or City player. I think VVD was the highest, and he was all the way down to 16th. You then had to go down even further to get to Trent, and there's no one from City even on page fucking 1 of the search results. That is not going to be the case at the end of the season.
No.
That is 100% going to rectify itself. If you look at the midfielders and attackers, you've got players like Pukki, who's top of the charts at the moment, or Ceballos or whoever. Those I could see getting into the top half of the point scorers by the end of the season, these lower priced players potentially. So it makes me feel like this is going to rectify itself.
Yes.
And also, before the start of the season, I felt like 50% clean sheets. If I'd had 19 out of both teams, I'm taking that. They've got 1 out of 6 at the moment. After this weekend, they really need to have 3 out of 8 matches between them. And then I'll feel a lot more comfortable. And then everyone will be like, what's the fuss about, to be honest? Because they're roughly on track to hit 50% clean sheets.
The only Liverpool concern remains is Adrian.
Yeah, true. We don't have any news on this yet, do we?
Not really. I mean, it's going to be a while. I'm not as worried about their upcoming fixtures as everybody else does. But I think it also... There aren't too many in the next 2 months where Salah or Mane would be obvious captain choice. I don't think. Game week 5
Newcastle at
obviously
home
stands out. Yes, of course it does. Game week 7, Sheffield United away maybe. And then, what was it, game week 11 or something? Villa away or something. Mm-hmm. But they're not particularly standouts, really, in comparison to, say, City or Spurs' fixtures. In my opinion, those two. And I completely get why people are going to go, nah, fuck that with Harry Kane. I get that. But City... You could captain Sterling every week now between now and the inevitable blank in game week 12 at Anfield because he always blanks there. Quite comfortably and get on with it.
You can really tell that the official FPL are fishing for their fixture difficulty rank where they've given Everton away a rank of 4 for City and a red because that's the only fixture they can find that's even remotely difficult for City. And that should be a routine win if you ask me today.
What, City at Everton?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no problem.
But it's like, why are they giving them a fixture difficulty rank of 4?
Everton haven't conceded a goal at home since Man City last went there in February.
Yeah.
And if Wolves don't score there at Sunday, City will probably be the next team that score there.
Yeah, true.
You don't ever expect City to turn up and not score in any game, do you?
No.
So no, I still feel relatively confident. One of the things a few people said to me pre-season was like, if you get into the position where it's going badly, and at the moment it is.
Yep.
How long do you give that?
I always pre-season said the first 4 weeks, and I actually said the first 10 weeks. So now it's just a case of can we stick to what we thought at the start?
The one more for me would be like, yeah, we said like the XG of Norwich and Southampton and Newcastle Wolves in 37-38 last year against Liverpool was unusually high. Liverpool, through my drunken eyes at the weekend, looked like they were more back on peak. I think Arsenal played into their hands a little bit, playing a diamond and letting the fullbacks get forward. But this was a little bit more the Liverpool we expect. They've won 3 out of 3 games. We're not in a position here where we're talking about them where suddenly they've had a shocker like Spurs and United have had at the weekend. Still winning games.
Oh, yeah.
And
comfortably.
They're ahead. They're top of the league. They're 2 clear of City. They know how relentless they've got to be in this pursuit of trying to win the league.
Yes.
So I'm cool with it.
I'm with you on that as well.
I don't think there's a going away.
Mm-hmm. The only thing that you and I did with our defense is that a lot of FPL pros or people that are producing content is Lucas Dean. Neither of us picked him. And now I do think that he's a good FPL asset at 6 million based on the eye test. So I would want to get him in, whether that means going to 5 at the back or sacrificing one of my Liverpool defenders. I'd rather sacrifice one of my Liverpool defenders, which means probably Robertson, and I get $1 million in the bank. So the only reason I would do that is to engineer a situation where Lucas Dean comes in. The other thing to think about
Go on.
is Alisson is now dropped to 5.8.
Yeah, it's
and he's
true, yeah.
likely to drop to 5.7. So I'm sitting on Edison at the moment at 6.1.
Yeah.
Maybe the likelihood of 6.2 is probably low. But if he did, I could nick 0.3 and have Alisson and the two at the back.
Yes, you could.
So that's another interesting variable, but it's going to take a couple more weeks for that to play out before it actually becomes an option for me.
The only reason I will be selling one of my Liverpool defenders is to put Mane or Salah in my team. I'm not desperate to do it.
That sounds like it's a wild card move, really. I mean, you're really rearranging
I
your
feel,
team structure.
honestly, the necessity to have 3 Liverpool players in your FPL squad is even stronger than the necessity to have Man City players because of the less concern about rotation. People keep banging on about Alexander-Arnold. He started like the last 14 league games or something now. When are we going to get over this?
Yeah.
He's too good.
His
Why are they
delivery
gonna leave
and
him
set
out?
piece delivery is phenomenal. For a right back to have that culture to a right foot is just something else.
Whereas I think like City with people like Walker, Zinchenko, and you know Pep at any time, right? Mm-hmm. If Liverpool are Champions League winners, right? Really, every egg's got to go to the league. It's not to say they should give up the Champions League. I know, like Gary Neville was saying last year, best thing Liverpool could do to win the league would be to go out the Champions League. Well, that proved to be fucking bullshit, didn't it? It's just
Yeah.
Man City were relentless at the end.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. But this year, you do feel they might just eye the league a bit more. I'm sure even from the manager's point of view, they would all, when as fans, it's been a long time, hasn't it?
Yes.
Next year, it's 30 years since they won the league. Man City are winning it anyway, by the way. Just saying, like I always do.
Yeah. I have other problems in my squad as well, which quite often people do, which mean that fixing the Liverpool defence is a luxury rather than a necessity. In
yeah,
the
there's
shape
that,
of
yeah.
Jose Perez as well. I do have 2 free transfers, but again, if I can roll another one forward, in the words of DJ Khaled, another one, then I'd rather do that and just fix the one problem I have this week in the shape of Jose Perez's haircut.
So I've got Moura and Martial. The intention was always probably to take out Moura ahead of this game week.
Yeah.
I've got a big doubt over Martial. I'm not rushing anything this week. Just wait on news. If Martial's out for the weekend, that's it. It's getting bin back straight off.
In and out.
Yep.
Just how James likes it. Let's talk about some of the games, shall we?
I'm married.
Aston Villa 2 to Tottenham, yeah? Just so we know.
She knows.
Credit
Still, we're not divorced just yet.
Planet FPL Wifey at Planet FPL Wifey gets credit for the best use of a GIF this weekend on Twitter.
Yeah, the
James put out the tweet talking about a potential little trip up to Manchester, if you remember. Hypothetically, if we announce Planet FPL in Manchester, who would like to
You know how
come?
fucking drunk I was when I said that out.
She replied with a GIF, I'll allow it. So we know who wears the trousers here. Yeah, we know who wears the trousers here. That was the best GIF.
To be fair, that's a big cred for her because I'd mentioned it to her as an idea. So I was surprised it got that positive a response.
Yeah, I had to show it to my wife. I'm like, we're going to Manchester. She just looked at me like,
Can I just
what?
say on the idea of doing the live show in Manchester, we've had a nice little deal on the venue in London, right?
Yes.
For us to do the gig in Manchester, we have to pay to get there. We have to pay to stay somewhere. We have to pay for the venue. We have to pay to move all the equipment there.
Yeah.
Like, you ain't getting in for fucking free, I'm telling you.
Yeah, we'll have to sell tickets for that one or find a sponsor. Either will do. But, and on that note, we just need bloody Sky to announce the November-December televised
Is that
fixtures.
when you're thinking?
Well, it's going to have to be end of the year, around Christmas time, I think, to be honest with you. Yeah, I can't see it happening any sooner.
I don't know when the Spurs away to Burnley. That sounds like a good time.
Yeah, we need to check the fixtures and also wait for the announcements from Sky. I'll tell you what weekend it's not, which is November 23rd, 24th.
The reason
Which is when you
a
come to our place.
lot of people have responded to Manchester by going, what about Leeds? What about Liverpool? It's all valid. I just think Manchester as a middle ground is probably somewhere that everybody in the north can get to if we do it.
If we do it, yes. Correct. We'll announce it soon. But yeah, credit to Planet FPL Wifey for...
Suj is way further ahead than me in the thinking for this. I'm not going to lie.
The idea starts and it's done already. Let's talk
That's how
about the
we
game,
roll.
shall we?
Go on then.
So, starting with the Friday night game, Villa 2, Everton 0.
I'll repeat what I said on the live show. Is one of the few things I do remember saying during the pod was that I think as much as Everton got slated for their performance, I think on a different night they score 3 times, win 3-1, and no one says nothing.
They had the better of the game, and I felt like Villa had the better of the chances. Apart from Iwobi obviously hitting the post.
Calvert-Lewin off the line at 1-0 as well. And then Walcott's missed at the end. That was at 1-0.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
By the same
it wasn't
token,
like
by the same token, Aston Villa played
it wasn't
particularly
like
well.
Spurs were shit Sunday and didn't have efforts on goal.
Yeah.
All right, Everton creativity wise, they weren't nowhere near at the best. I said at the weekend, I think they've got a lot of players who are quite samey now. Like they want to run with it. Like Richarlison, Iwobi now added to that. Moyes Ken, Calvert-Lewin. They all want to look that way. And they took, although Sigurdsson was having a shocker and understood why he come off. But if you mix all that pace with the creativity of Sigurdsson, I still think balance-wise they'd be better off keeping Bernard in that team. I like him as a footballer. He's not going to get FPL returns regularly, but I like him as a player. I don't know. It was a bit disappointing for Everton, but I feel like a little way too much has been made of it. It was a hyper atmosphere at Villa as well. You could tell that
atmosphere,
on the telly.
just the whole end looked ridiculous. Mate. It's the kind of atmosphere you really want to be in, and the experience. I'm in agreement. I thought Richarlison had especially in the first half, was trying to get in amongst everything. He was the one that was really trying to make things happen. Lucas Dean, from that game, passed the eye test for me, despite his end product not being there. His positioning, he was getting in the chances, getting in the position to create chances, just the final product wasn't there. But I'm happy with that if he's getting in the positions to do that.
In the last 5 minutes, Villa brought on this week's Sky hero, Gilbert.
Yes.
We talked about that on the Sky pod.
In the last 5 minutes, they brought him off.
But no, brought El Mohammadi on to play in front of Gilbert and literally man-mark Dean.
Yeah.
I spoke about this in the past in terms of will people ever consider doing that with the 2 Liverpool guys? Literally, they brought him on and went, don't let him go. Even when the ball was on the other flank, I was watching El Mohammadi just to watch for this, just watching for Dean. And it does speak volumes in terms of how much of a threat he is. Delivery's great, gets into the box, he's got a shot.
Yeah.
You were talking earlier about moving from maybe one of the Liverpool guys to Luke Dean. I really don't have an issue with that. The fixtures are still solid for a sustained period for Everton. I think this was a blip on the road for them.
Yeah, Yerry Mina was doing his best to audition for a bout with Anthony Joshua.
Oh my God, he wanted to ruck with everybody.
He wants to get in the ring. He's looking for Barry Hearn to sign him up, man. Him and Wesley. He just wanted to knock Wesley out for no reason whatsoever, but he was looking for it. Villa, on the other hand, quite a few again that's put their hand up for potential consideration. I'm not still considering Wesley, but McGinn popped up with another assist. I think either Hotter,
Correct.
or Trezeguet looked decent options. I mean, Trezeguet's beard is a thing of beauty.
McGinn's still the standout for me.
He is.
He
At
picked
that
up the
price.
late assist, and it was possibly a little bit fortunate because obviously El Ghazi kind of stole the ball away to score the finish. I wasn't impressed with Wesley. I said that to you at the show on Saturday.
I don't think he played badly.
I felt Benteke light. And I use that comparison because of how well Benteke did at Villa. So I'm not referring him to current misfiring, can't even get in the Palace team Benteke. I'm referring to the power Benteke we saw at Villa. I see him as a hold-up player and bringing people into games. Not a slight of him as a footballer. I think the fact that Mina kept getting so wound up shows positive signs for him. I don't see him as... He's not on my radar for
Not for FPL anyway,
Nah.
now. But you know what? If he can be that guy.
McGinn is.
Norwich 2, Chelsea 3.
Tom Heaton clean sheet, I was just going to say, bonus.
Yes.
I wasn't impressed with him.
No,
In spite of the clean sheet. Well, it was the one that really concerned me was how, when Iwobi hit the post, how slow he was to get back up. Yeah,
scrambling a little bit.
A little thing that concerned me.
I think you've got to take that as a bonus. That's not going to be your week in, week out.
Nah, I'll get the odd one from Tom Heaton. It's the least important position for me.
Norwich 2, Chelsea 3. We watched that together. I was setting up a few mics, but generally we watched that together.
Good fun,
A real
man.
yo-yo game. Yeah, two teams that couldn't give a shit about defending. So here we go. Norwich fans, that's pretty much what you're in for this week against West Ham as well.
They're
Essentially,
going to
who
have
can score
they're
more.
going to have a ride, aren't they?
It's going to be fun.
Fair game.
I thought Chelsea did play particularly well. Mason Mount's the one that's jumping on everyone's radar at the moment, but Tammy Abraham's obviously popped up with the 2 goals. I don't know. Mason Mount had 2 price rises, but is still cheap. You mentioned that he's on your radar.
Very much. He took a kick to the calf. He should be all right for the weekend, but wait on news. Like, it's just not worth moving in early, especially when, I might be going more to Mount, and then suddenly if I make that move early, and then I'm in a position I've got no Mount or Martial for the weekend. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So wait on confirmed news, because Mason Mount could miss the game at the weekend. And it's an attractive one at home to Sheffield United. I know Sheffield United, we talked about them in a bit. Obviously, had a decent start, but that's serious test, away game like that. We haven't seen yet. Don't really know how they'll react to that. So, yeah, Mason Mount and Abraham took the goals really well. Really well. I think
Good finishes.
a better goalkeeper probably saves the last one, and I think a more defensively organised couple of centre-halves than Hanley and Godfrey would have dealt with the whole third goal better. But the first one, particularly the way he pulled away, loved that. It's not dived in. Sometimes the best thing you can do with space is stay in your own zone. When someone hits the flank and they're panicking to protect their goal, just step out. Good, clever little movement by doing not too much, and finished it really well. I just feel with Abraham a little bit like he'll have a couple of blanks and he might be out the team, and it might be that quick. But I don't know. It depends how much faith Lampard's gonna have in him.
Well, based on the team selection,
the critic
so
in me
far.
wants to go. He's just scored twice against a team that's come up from the Championship. That's the critic in me.
Well, the thing with Lampard is that he's playing Mount, which I didn't think he'd do, and he's playing Abraham, which I didn't think he'd do. And all the signs are that he's going to give youth a chance. That's the stuff that it's not just the what we're seeing on the pitch, it's the words coming out of his mouth as well. I would like Mason Mount in my team if I know he's going to start week in, week out, because technically he's very good and he's very attacking, and he will get attacking returns without a doubt.
We kind of said all pre-season, one of them's going to break out. We don't know who it's going to be. Why take the chance when the first 2 fixtures, United, Leicester, looked really tough? You've had another look now with respect to Norwich against a weaker side. And he's returned, right? And he took the goal.
Yes.
Lovely. It's beautiful the way he wraps his foot around the ball. And that was playing in a slightly different position, kind of with Pedro's injury. Pedro picked up a hamstring injury. Obviously, Barkley got brought into the team. Mount kind of played more from an inside leftish position, but links and gets involved. And actually, he might find a little bit like Maddison's doing for Leicester at the moment, and Eriksen has done for Spurs, that playing just sort of out of a central position, you might find space a little bit easier to come by, actually. And it's something to watch. Willian looks like he's way off that team at the moment. So if Mount's fit again at the weekend and Pedro's out, like, he's playing. There's no reason,
for sure.
no reason to take him out. So he right now, as long as he's past fit for the weekend, would be the number 1 target in my opinion. Defensively, don't go near. I mean, Emerson looks like he's going to score every single week, but he's going to need to score to get to get you a return, mate.
Talk about Norwich. Pukki, obviously, everybody that got him in and doubled his ownership, more than doubled his ownership last week, was rewarded, and everybody that didn't get him in is now definitely going to jump on it. Like, if you'd have said 4 goals and a couple of assists in his first 3 Premier League games, wow, what a great FPL.
Mark, FPL Badger, our Canary correspondent, you got him and Cantwell both in.
Yes, did he start Cantwell?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, the thing is, we asked the question at the live show, who owns Cantwell? A lot of hands shot up. Who had him on the bench?
Quite a few.
They stayed up as well, which is understandable with your 4.6
and the fixture
asset. I think anyone that now thinks that they're going to jump on and play him, he's probably had his return, right? It's one of those where
I don't think
chase the points.
I don't think that's necessarily the case. I just urge a little bit of caution on Cantwell in that, like, Vrancic came on at the weekend and was back, and Vrancic came on for Stiepermann. But towards the end of the season, you probably would have said that Hernandez is injured. You'd have said Hernandez, Stiepermann, and Buendia, who I really like, were probably the main 3. And then if Vrancic was fit, it was probably him or Hernandez. So look, Cantwell's obviously really progressed from the end of last season. There's no reason for him to come out of the team right now, but Vrancic is now knocking.
you
So
think-
it might change.
Do you think Buendia is a decent FPL asset?
I don't see why you would go to him.
He's
It's a
6
shame
million.
that, 'cause he's a good player.
I mean, there's one real reason. He's got 0.7% ownership. So if you do go for it and he has a little run, then you are really looking at a differential there.
Yeah, but I don't know why you would do that against Cantwell and even Pookie's.
Yeah, and the problem is that you don't really want to have three. Well, you can't have 3 Norwich players
He's
necessarily.
a really good player, and I think as the season it goes on, he may well really emerge. Buendia, it's the sort of one we might look at for our differentials as different because they're going to score goals. It's fucking clear as.
Yeah.
And from that mind, those who went on Pookie last week, in spite of the fear over the fixture, like, happy
Well
days,
done.
wasn't it? Like, can't see it stopping. They've got you at the weekend. It's really not the week for me to be throwing it in your face, but they've got you at the weekend.
Armband on Pookie. Armband on Pookie.
I'm banned on Pookie. She said to me, didn't she? I should fucking captain him every week. I can't even do the fucking impression
Voice,
with
that's
his
how bad your throat is. Oh, man.
captain him every week. Yeah, you won't, love. You won't.
Brighton 0, Southampton 2. I didn't see this result coming. Not necessarily because of ability, but because of form. But Southampton can pull it out. I mean, it's time. Like, their manager's very solid, but I didn't see this coming for Brighton. But to all intents and purposes, they could have got something out of the game.
Well, it probably wasn't coming until Florian Andone committed what will probably still come game week 38 be worst tackle of the season. Like, have you seen it?
I haven't seen the replay
Oh
of it.
my gosh.
Ouch.
It's just ridiculous. It's the most stupid red card ever. It just goes so over the top. The best bit is, for the majority of the listeners will have seen the tackle. When you see it, if you haven't clocked it yet, when you watch it back, just watch for Solly March. Solly March is behind him. Solly March knows it's a red card straight away. He's like, puts
Yeah.
his hands on his head. He's like, what have you done,
What have
mate?
you done?
What have you done 25 minutes, half hour into the game?
Yeah.
Blatant red card. Like, no argument at all. Proper shocker. And he's cost his team there because Brighton were doing all right again. Obviously had the dunk disallowed goal afterwards. You're just watching it for the first time. Watch it. Look at Solly March in the background. Watch him.
Yeah.
Look. Oh no, what's he done?
It's almost clumsy.
Look
Oh.
at that. Sorry. So just seeing it back for the first time. He's so
What's
bad.
he trying to do?
I don't know.
Because the ball is...
and
Like,
he's just jumped over the top bad.
he hasn't jumped over the top or anything. He jumped straight into the leg.
Yeah, but if he'd have been a couple of inches to the left, mate, he really would have finished Valerie. I think it's Valerie in the tackle, wasn't it? He would have finished him there, mate. I just love Solly Marsh's reaction. He's like, mate, what the fuck have you done to me here? Anyway,
What is he thinking
that
about?
cost Brighton the game massively.
Yeah.
Dunk had the correctly disallowed goal for Bun's challenge on Gunn on the line, but they were still well in the game. Trossard looked lively again. I was surprised, I said it during the show when we saw the teams that Gross was left out after a really positive week against yourselves in game week 2. It didn't make sense, but I think I said to you at the time during the show that I think he may be trying different people in different spots, just trying to work it out. Now, he's cost himself Andone, so, Gross, Trossard and Mopé might well get that little run now for a few games.
Yeah.
That said, it wouldn't surprise me if Murray's backing the team away to Man City. I would think he would want forward-thinking players who can be active and around the ball because, Murray's great at his hold-ups. He does great defensive work for you with the ball. He's not going to get at Otamendi or Laporte or whomever's paying there at the weekend. It kind of just leaves City even more just freer movement to get out.
I worry for them against City this weekend.
Well, you worry about anyone playing City. But
At
the
their place
game
as well.
changed. Massive credit went very unnoticed. Is a change Hassan Hootel made, which was quite brave because Southampton, in spite of the man advantage, weren't particularly getting a foothold in the game. And he brought Gineppo on for Valerie. They played with a back four. There was no Bertrand. Kevin Danso, the Austrian, made his debut at left back. And he brought, rather than sort of taking him off, he took Valerie off for Gineppo. Gineppo went and played left wing and moved things about. Ward-Prowse went to right back. Brilliant work for Danny Ings within a minute, and Gineppo scored a worldie, mate. straight away. It was basically won them the game. And interesting seeing a little cameo at the end there from Sofiane Boufal, who created Redmond's goal. Has very much become a forgotten man. But it wasn't Hassan Hussein that sold him. He'd been on loan all of last season. So he's another one who's never been any doubt on Boufal's ability. I think it's just
in the head.
and the mental. I don't like saying that. The mental side, the mental toughness of the game, shall we say, where he'll need to do the other aspects that's going to allow him to be part of this team. But Danny Ings and Adams as a pair seems to be working for them, and it looks like they're going to stay that way. It'd be interesting if they played with two up front against United at Saturday lunchtime.
Manchester United 1, Crystal Palace 2. So many little stories within this one. Daniel James getting a lot of attention from a lot of people as a great.
It's a diving little shit. Although he got booked in this occasion, he's already got himself a reputation. Game week 3, and he's earned that reputation already, and he's got fouled there, and he's got booked for diving.
Yeah,
he's all over it already, mate. Like, he's a little shit, mate. He's a cheat. He's
the United way. Missed penalties, which we can talk about, but ultimately, let's start with Crystal Palace. So PVA has now got the honour of being the highest point scorer in FPL. All he's done is 1 clean sheet and 1 goal.
Get out.
He's the highest defensive
Oh,
point scorer. Sorry. Obviously, Salah and Sterling are killing him, and Pookie. Pookie's on like 37 points. He's on 18. He's the highest defensive.
Is that right?
1 goal, 1 clean sheet. That's all he has.
Can you check that? I mean,
You're in
it shows
shock.
how much attention I'm paying
You're in
at the
shock.
moment. Yeah, but is he really? He
18.
fucking is.
Tied with Lucas Dean. And then you got Peters, Mina, Lundstrom, Maitland-Niles. I mean, the top point scoring defenders is just a real mess.
It's rickety, isn't
You
it?
keep going, and then you get to VVD.
Yeah, it's all right. It will come again.
Like the ownership, there's not a single player with more than 10% other than Dean.
What's
and Dunk.
PVA's ownership?
It is 7.6%.
Yeah, that's about what it should be. I mean, it was a big goal for him.
Yes.
Considering some fairly daft comments after the Sheffield United game. I was obviously really pleased they won following obviously having Mig on last Thursday, and he was so downcast, man. When I said to him, like, are you worried you'll go down? He was like, yeah. And I was like, I was trying to get the positives down. I was like, what, really? And he was like, yeah, we're in trouble, man.
Well, he did kind of, if this happens and that happens, then maybe we kind of sort of might stand a chance. But they picked up 4 yellow cards in the game, so they were obviously having to put it about and
right.
be physical. Yeah, you
Good,
take it in a game against United.
I thought Cahill should have been sent off. For me, that's a clear denying a goal scoring opportunity.
Yeah.
I thought that was a red card, personally. And I think...
bottled it a little bit.
I think if it was, I don't want to talk about VAR on this podcast, but I think if it was being done by, let's say, foreign referees, I think United may well have had 3 penalties in this game as well as Cahill.
And missed all 3 as well, probably.
Well, yeah, probably, yeah. You'd be looking at some serious minuses.
Yeah.
Jordan Ayew, shout out, because he's been pretty average for Palace, and he did some dog work for them on his own. Zaha did exactly what I'd suggested he did and avoided Wan-Bissaka and spent the majority of the game playing on the other side of the pitch.
Yeah.
Couple of key things on the 2 Palace goals, which kind of went a little bit unnoticed. So on the first goal, just before, Lindelof got beat really bizarrely in the air by Schlupp, and it was like it happened in slow motion. Luke Shaw had picked up an injury a minute earlier. He was on the pitch, but he went off like straight afterwards for Ashley Young with a tight hamstring. He might still be all right for this weekend. But it felt like they was a little bit disorganised for that. It was like they were waiting for the game to stop or something. And on the second goal, again, not really been noticed, and it didn't particularly affect the goal, but Martial was out of the game. Like he was a passenger at that point in the game. So I don't know if that's any consolation to United and how those goals have happened. This was a smash and grab. On a different day, United win comfortably and not too much gets said. But a little bit like Spurs, it didn't, for all the pressure, I mean, United had more efforts on goal than Spurs did, but it didn't overly commit to Gator. Like, how many saves did Gator make at the weekend?
Not the most. I think we have 2.
2.
David De Gea only
you
made
you
one.
would assume that Palace winning at United and Newcastle winning at Spurs, you would assume that Gator and Dubravka would be picking you up save bonuses.
Yes.
Nothing.
Dubravka 2 saves as well. What are United going to do about this penalty situation? A lot of people would have picked Pogba because he was priced as one of the cheaper top 6 midfielders who's playing week in, week out.
I don't
He
think
missed one. Now Rashford's missed one.
I don't think it's a big deal. I
don't think missing them necessarily is a big deal. Just pick them up and carry on. But you don't know who's going to take them.
Rashford's missed that by a centimetre, mate. Really, basically. Like, it's gone out for a goal kick the other side. Like, it's as close as you can possibly be. Don't think it's a big deal. I think Rashford is probably the best penalty taker and will probably stay on them.
He's at 8.7 million now. He's had a couple of price rises. He may see a fall this week based on the fact that he got 0 and not for any logical reason.
Yeah, that'll happen. Like, you'll see already, like,
bandwagon.
everybody going in for Kane's coming straight off, right?
Yeah.
If you're hitting zeros, it's like even Lundstrom got a 0 at the weekend, didn't he? But people have started him get the fucking hump with that already, mate. You'd be mad. Oh, get Kelly, they won. Like, it's stupid. But
of all the players to be using your free transfer on your £4.5 million
there's a lot of people will just do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's talk Sheffield United Leicester.
Yes, say Soyuncu. Soyuncu.
Assist of the season.
Soyuncu picked up the assist.
A backwards header.
Yeah, Harvey Barnes on the score sheet. Jamie Vardy back on the score sheet. Leicester winning ways.
I mean, you sound like you've not seen Harvey Barnes' goal.
I didn't see Harvey Barnes' goal.
It's a stormer, mate.
He hit it. But was Maddison worthy of the assist, in your opinion?
For Jamie Vardy's?
No.
Yeah.
For
Maddison's
Vardy's.
was for Jamie Vardy's. Yeah, great pass. Vardy got in that channel. I looked for his average position at the weekend, and it actually wasn't out of the norm. It was very essential. But the goal, a lot of teams are going to pick up on this goal, and he did the thing that I said that Palace never did the week before. He targeted that area in between
fullbacks,
Basham coming up and Egan, and basically letting it go, letting them get into their own problems and staying in the space so that when the ball's won, the ball can be fed into that area. Now, once you feed Vardy into that space against anyone, he's going to get away, right? And chances are, on either left or right, he's going to finish it. I think you will see a movement towards particularly teams playing at Bramall Lane targeting that area to get at Sheffield United, and it might be something to watch because we picked up on it and said, I bet Vardy will do that, and it's exactly where the goal came from. Maddison really, really lively again. Soyuncu, you mentioned he's a dumbass assist, but he's providing value for an unbeaten and very good side at the moment. Leicester have made the sort of start that's going to give them a real shot.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
now they've got to show consistency. They've got some big games coming up. They've got Spurs and Liverpool over the next few. If they can take positive results in the other games and stay in and around the points in those bigger ones, they could push for top 4 because Spurs, United, Arsenal, Chelsea are
struggling.
Not standing. Well, I wouldn't say struggling, but there's nothing to make them stand out and believe they could get close to City and Liverpool at the moment.
No. The biggest problem from a Leicester point of view for FPL managers is Jose Perez at the moment. He's had one drop last week. Most people have held out now, but I think that he's going to be well up there as one of the most transferred out players this week. He's sitting on 111,000 transfers out as it stands. Kane's had twice as many, surprisingly.
Why is that a surprise?
Well, I don't know.
It's reactionary, you know that, right?
Yeah, your hand signals don't mean much to me, man.
Please pause for a second, guys.
We need to pause.
No, not literally.
Should we just keep talking?
Yeah, I mean, YouTube's going to hear me, but...
Oh, fuck YouTube, I don't care. Oh, did I say that out loud?
111,000 transfers out. Off the back of the previous week and what I saw from Leicester, I felt like Perez to Maddison is just a very straightforward, easy move to make.
Yeah, potentially. Just looking at next week, we've got United coming up soon as well. So game week 5, we've got United away. Game week 6, Spurs at home. Game week 8, Liverpool away. They've got Bournemouth and Leicester at home, Bournemouth and Newcastle at home in the middle of that as well.
Followed by Burnley at home. They could do things away at Manchester United, trying to hit them on the counter attack. I think Leicester at the price that you pay, like a Madison at 7 million, is fixture proof. Like, he's not one of your premium or one of your budgets.
Well,
you
it's
wanna
the amount
rotate,
of.
but-
I mean, his set piece delivery now is now. You know,
YouTube, you need to tune in to see James's face there. You
No,
can
he's-
just imagine his
James
face
Madison's
there, man.
set piece taking is right on point now.
Yeah.
We kind of said it on the short pod. It's nice to see these British lads. Without taking the piss out of Daniel James a bit, but it's nice to see these British lads showing themselves
Yeah,
as real
Mount stepping
FPL
up, Harry Wilson setting up,
assets.
Madison
Yeah.
stepping up. There's plenty around to be had.
I'd like to have James Madison in my team this season. I suspect.
What's the but?
I suspect with them fixtures, there's not a rush.
There probably isn't. I mean, his ownership is particularly low at the moment. He's not even at 8%. He is now 11.2%. Sorry. I was confusing him with someone at 7.6.
I'm not in a rush. Bournemouth at home, United away, Spurs at home, Newcastle at home, Liverpool away. I don't feel in a rush for it. I don't feel in a rush to get Leicester coverage, and I'm quite happy to be watching them. I feel like, although you said about coming off Perez, I think you might see more of him in some of these more challenging games coming up. Actually, I think it might benefit him. And
The issue is he's playing out on the right,
I would,
which isn't really particularly working for him per se. Will Rodgers change the way they're playing to push him a little bit
he
more
might
centrally?
do. He very well might do.
But that
And
is
I
a bit
think
of an if and but, might be maybe.
one of the big talking points pre-season was Tielemans or Perez, right?
It was because of the
Well,
price.
if I had to buy one tomorrow, I'd buy Perez.
I agree with you on that, but I would buy neither. I think my transfer for this week is almost certainly going to be Perez to Madison. The reason I like moving to Madison as well is because I don't really want to be... He's a set and forget for me, Madison. He's not the type of player that you move in, move out based on the fixture bank. And if I can do that and then roll 2 transfers into the week after, which is the international break, I can actually start looking at my big at the back and decide whether or not I do want to bring in Luca Dean or then try and figure out a way of getting money for Kevin De Bruyne. So I feel like Perez to Madison is a safe transfer for me this week.
Just briefly on Sheffield United, nothing further to be said on Lundstrom. Like, if you're on, it's absolutely fine. Don't,
Of course,
don't
man, £4 million.
Don't be put off by the 0 this week. Yeah, obviously, what you got to remember is if they're conceding twice, you're going to lose 1 point off, right? But he's cost you. If you got on at 4.0, he's cost you nothing. Any return is value. It's an interesting call if people
Played him.
He had a good chance again at the weekend, right? Do you play him at Chelsea away?
No.
I don't think you do you?
The
No.
Sheffield United assets are home,
But then-
home games against the bottom half of the table.
Midfield
teams.
runners looks like a problem for Chelsea. That's all I'm saying. The only other things I wanted to mention on Sheffield United, I wanted to mention the assister George Baldock, because there was a lot of talk in pre-season, obviously, about Ender Stevens.
Yep.
And him getting the inflated 5.0. Baldock's average position has been higher than Stevens in most of the games, and he is not shy in putting the ball in the box. He seems to be doing it quite quickly. Now, I know that you're not going to go and buy this fellow at 4.5 when you can go and buy Lundstrom at 4.1 or 2 or whatever he still is this week. But it might be one to watch for further down the line, I think. 0.4% ownership, and actually stood out a bit for me at the weekend. The forward line has become very muddied, as I suggested it might. McBurney come on and scored at the weekend. Sharps come on. Robinson and McGoldrick have gone off early. You still got Mousse to put into that.
I think it's fair
discussion.
to mention Baldock as well. If you look at it, I'm just looking at the numbers here. In a game of 3 goals, which he didn't score any, just picked up with 1 assist, he picked up maximum bonus points and didn't have a clean sheet to add to that as well. So
But-
it says a lot about his pass completion and tackle
Well,
completion.
it's more the chances creation, because he like literally gets it out his feet and he'll cross.
Yeah.
He's not thinking twice about it. So on the highlights I watched of the game, that really stood out to me as one to watch.
Watford 1, West Ham 3. We spoke about this on our Tot and Ham show. It was a entertaining watch, I think, is the way to describe it, end to end. But Watford had chances as well that they could have easily nicked the game had we not put our chances away. But ultimately, West Ham coming through, and Haller now getting a lot of attention in FPL. If Will Hughes had scored that though. That's got to be the miss of the season.
We'll
get to if Andone
hell.
gets to game week 38 and that's still the horror tackle of the season. Will Hughes is going to get to game week 38 with the miss of the season.
He's still not got nothing on Matt Ritchie's one at Burnley last year.
Probably
but
not.
This was bad. Just to throw out some numbers from the weekend from this game, because the XG was fucking insane, right? So
yes.
Delafeu had 7 shots. Andre Gray had 5. On the XG, Haller was 1.17. Only Salah had a higher XG this weekend. Felipe Anderson had an XA of 0.98. Gray at 0.94. Those were the 2 highest from all the games at the weekend. It was an insanely high XG.
Yeah, looking at that, Foster 7 saves as well that he had to
There's
make.
an amount of chances missed as well, like the Will Hughes chance and that.
End to end, that in the end, I suppose West Ham did come through.
Slight formation change. Watford 4-2-3-1. Cleverly kind of played as a sort of
Central
in the
one.
10 role. I don't rate him.
I'm with you on
That's
that
it,
as well.
enough
He didn't
said.
make it United. I don't rate him either.
No, he had a good run as a kid at United, but he always felt like even when he got in the England squad, it felt like he got in the squad because he was at United. But actually, his first few appearances for England were very good. But I've never been a big fan. And actually, in fairness, like injuries have not done him any favours. He's had some bad ones. Watford have obviously got the 2 boys, Sarr and Welbeck, to potentially bring into this team. We've got an article going out from Stephen as well. He's just avoid.
Yeah, I
There's
think
nothing
I
else
did.
to be said
I
here.
did enjoy reading Stephen's article. We only put it up earlier today, but the summary at the end always FPL. Basically, same as last week. None of them.
Yeah, he's not going to
What else can you
bullshit
say?
anyone. No, he's not going
No.
to bullshit anyone.
Haller is an interesting one. He's still at 7.4 and only 3.7% ownership. Very, very low.
So remember that not everybody was at the live show at the weekend.
No,
So you did sell this fella,
I did sell him.
which was fucking amusing to all of us at the show.
Yeah, but do you disagree that it was a wrong decision?
It was amusing when you said to everyone at the show, yeah, well, I got Pookie and he got a goal and assist. Come back to me when Haller scores again.
2,
It
yeah,
was about
he did.
5 minutes.
Later, he did bang in the second. So it's fine when it's one of your own. It's
Yeah,
worse
there
when
is
it's
that,
someone
yeah.
else, right? When it's one of your own, I'll take it. I'm still happy with my 0.3 swing on.
I
Van.
still felt
But
like-
I'll still buy Haller back.
I felt like this was look, you went for Pookie, it's got you more value. You're gonna see quicker rises with Pookie. I'm not calling it a mistake, it's not what I'm doing. But I do feel it's a prime example where people are he's losing value, got to sell him. And what I kept saying to you was, despite all the jokes you were getting in the first couple of game weeks, and obviously he missed the Brighton game,
Yep.
and all the piss taking we did was, you were insistent on something you saw in pre-season.
Correct.
In my opinion, because you believed it so strongly, was possibly, and some of your judgment is questionable sometimes, but was
Debatable.
possibly going to give you an advantage.
Yes. I'm not lying in saying that I'm very tempted with going from Harry Kane to Haller. And that's because then it will allow me to buy Mane or Kevin De Bruyne or potentially even both. I'm even considering Callum Wilson to Haller. Like I have regrets, not necessarily the right word, but I do want to get him back in at 7.4 million with 3.7% ownership.
Really thought you were going to break into Frank Sinatra then, mate.
No, I'm not singing on this show. That's another podcast that we're going to be launching soon. Sudge and James do songs.
Not with this fucking voice, we
No,
ain't.
to be fair, I think we leave that to Mars. He's a song lyric guy. but
Yeah,
I
we
don't
will
really-
leave it to Mars at the end
The problem is whenever I hear him, like he always does song lyrics. I don't know many. I'm not into music that much, so people could be talking in song lyrics, and I'll just be completely oblivious. But back to this: Norwich at home, Villa away, then Man United at home. We do always raise our game for Man United at home. Bournemouth away, Crystal Palace at home. If I'm not going to own him for the next 5, when am I going to own this guy? So
You
I'm,
just sold it.
I know. But based on that performance, I'm tempted to bring him back in. Problem is, who for? And we'll talk about Callum Wilson when we get to Bournemouth. But who for at the moment? Pookie,
That's up to
Callum
you.
Wilson, Kane.
That's up
But
to you.
anyone thinking about whether or not they want to buy him, I'm all for it. Go for it. And at
It is a
3.7%,
sustained run for West Ham, Norwich, Villa, United, Bournemouth, Palace, Everton, Sheffield United, Newcastle, Burnley. And then you can go into game week 13 because they're playing Spurs. And we all know that's your fucking cup final twice a
apparently
year.
so.
Well, you know you put 200% extra effort into that fixture.
yeah.
So you can put that in as part of the fixtures if
Sure,
you
we'll
want.
beat you with 100%, but let's see. That's at our place anyway.
Probably at the moment.
So we're more likely to win at your place than we are at our place.
All
based
right,
on that.
cool.
Haller's worth it. I think he's
Alright,
worth it.
you
But
said it.
Let's not spend too much time on one.
Said the man who
particular
just sold
player.
it.
Yeah, it's true. But I think he's worth it. If he fits your squad structure, then definitely get him in.
Okay.
Liverpool 3, Arsenal 1. We've talked about having 3 Liverpool players. Are you sure you don't regret not owning Salah?
I regret not captaining him in the Sky game in the weekend. I don't know what I was thinking. I was talking to
3
a few
goals,
lads
1 assist, 4 games.
literally before the kickoff. We was talking about it, and there was. I don't want to talk about Sky too much now. We'll do it tomorrow. But they said, "Are you captaining this for Sky?" I said, "Oh, I'm on Van Dijk." And they said, "You not got Salah?" I said, "Yeah, I got Salah." And when I said, "Who you guys got?" And we all gone on Salah. So I've been stubborn about it. I got. I'm going Van Dijk then. Fuck that.
Because you couldn't have it unless you changed it in the morning. But
What a state. I learned a big lesson there.
you don't regret not having Salah.
No, I sat here last week and spoke quite strongly about Mane's numbers against him, and obviously,
But you don't know Mane either, so we're not,
no,
not really covering him.
no. My advice to people last week was that if you were a Salah owner, you should strongly consider going for Sadio Mane. My opinion on that hasn't changed. The reality of this last on the weekend is he scored a penalty because David Luiz is right up there with top A-class bellends, right? I mean, what a fucking idiot! I don't know.
We shouldn't bother talking about him.
Do you know what? You could make your own podcast out of it. Out of which was the bigger mistake, the most blatant shirt pull you've ever seen, or his joke of a challenge for the third goal?
Yeah.
Which David Luiz, I told you, he's 9 out of 10 or 4 out of 10, and he had a fucking 4 out of 10.
I thought you being a bit generous there with a 4 out of 10. I thought it was a 9 or a 1.
I'm
mate.
disappointed because I was hoping he's going to hold the 4 out of 10 back for this coming week. Right?
No, he'll probably come back and have a blinder this week.
Clearly, obviously, Salah is the most explosive player in this game. He's the most expensive. He should be, right?
Yes.
So you get what you pay for. We've had that as a title of the pod very recently. I get it, and all those who, I mean, what I would say is the sheer volume of people that were selling him last week was a joke. Like fucking hell, one blank. And I know that's not too many serious FPL players who've gone off. The advice I was trying to give out is that you should be in a position now where you're thinking about it. Now, Salah and Mane wasn't a discussion in game week 1 because Mane wasn't going to play. So it was obvious if he was going there, he was going for Salah. But with Mane back, I think it was an argument. And I still think it's an argument that over the course of this season, Mane is now showing himself, in my opinion, someone that you can trust as a captain. And yeah, it's all fresh in your mind about Salah. Mm-hmm. And they won't play Arsenal every week.
No, but Arsenal did play well in the first half. They had some chances in the
Well,
I wouldn't say they played well, but they had chances in the first half. 1 or 2 of them go in, and it's completely different.
I mean, the 2 unforced errors, Adrian, that's another one. Go back and look. The one when Aubameyang looped it just wide, the look that Van Dijk gave Adrian, mate. Fucking hell. I'm
It's a
surprised.
concern.
I'm surprised Adrian made it back out for the second half, mate, and he'd not been done over at half time. And Jordan Henderson made a massive mistake, and Pepe rinsed Robertson, didn't he? You can see in that movement the talent he's got. He just was absolutely desperate to get on his left foot, and I think with a little bit more understanding, he's still a kid. Let's be honest.
He's 19, right, Pepe?
Is he just 19?
I think he's 19.
I don't think he's that young. You'll find out.
I'll find out at some
You'll
point.
find out. He would just take it on his right foot and score. Listen, Adrian's in goal. You don't need to get it on your good foot. Just shoot with your weaker. It's going to be absolutely
Yeah, you're
fine.
better off. You're almost better off with Adrian shooting at him.
When we saw the team,
24, sorry.
we were trying to work out how Arsenal were lined up, and we saw the team live while we were recording. I said, off what I can see, I think it's a diamond, and it's going to play into the fullback's hands. And it's pretty much what happened. But
It
you
says-
are right, Arsenal. It's
It
gone
says a
kind
lot
of
about
forgotten.
your lot
Arsenal,
that
Arsenal
you're now going
did
to
threaten
their
them a bit.
place with this Arsenal side, and they're the favourites.
Well, why should that be a shock?
Well, no, it just says that you're that far behind. Defensively, they're still
We're
garbage.
both challenging for the same thing this year.
Europa.
Depends on how well Leicester, Wolves, and
Yeah,
Everton do.
Nicolas
doesn't it?
Pepe has one big problem at that 9.5 million price bracket. You're not going to have two 9.5 million rated midfielders. Very few teams, I would be surprised, would find space for two. And Kevin De Bruyne is going to take that
I
spot
don't
all day
think-
long.
I don't think anybody's going to really go for Pepe until you physically see the returns.
Yeah,
I
and there
think.
have been none so far. Bournemouth 1, Man City 0. Great goal from Harry Wilson and fortunate assist for Callum Wilson. But City are City.
It's three
Aguero,
fortunate assists now for Callum Wilson, but you can't knock it.
no, Aguero's at less than 20% ownership, which is very low
Yeah.
for him. He's very, very rarely at that level. He's scored in every game.
Yeah, I mean, very quietly, he's played two games. How many minutes did he play? Yours 20 in the first game.
21, 65. So that's 2 games, 4 goals. 2 full games if you look at it like that.
Yeah, it's going very unnoticed, isn't it?
Ready for your team yet?
If I sold Kane, I'd get him in.
Mm-hmm.
None of this coming down for budget. I would keep a premium in. If Kane got injured at the weekend, yeah, I'd smash out Walker and I'd get Aguero in. I think.
Most consistent goal scorer for the last sort of 5 years in terms of 20 goals every season, week in, week out. And Neil Murray put a thread out, which was quite interesting.
Neil Murray did a thread?
Yeah. Would you believe
No.
it? And what I like about Neil's tweets now, Neil, you're going to be listening, is that at the bottom of the tweet, he puts a thread. I'm like, of course it's a fucking thread, Neil. I know what you're writing, mate. So, yeah, it was about
He uses them
points
stupid
per...
brackets. They're not real brackets.
Oh,
What are
square
they called?
ones.
Square brackets. No, then they have like the point coming out.
Oh, I don't know what they are.
What
but
do you
they're-
call them? Neil, tweet me. We check if you're listening.
wanna know
now.
what they're
What
called.
are those fucking brackets, mate?
Yes. So he put a thread out about points per minute versus actual playing week in, week out. And a lot of the City players are explosive, like your Agueros and your Sterlings. Doesn't matter if they get rotated, they still score more points over the course of a season than anyone else. And the likes of Sterling and Aguero do fit into that bracket. He will get rotated. He'll still be amongst the top 5 point scorers from strikers. So don't worry about it and take the rotation on the chin. Example again, 3 goals, 3 games. He's played 2 out of those 3 in 4 minutes.
The only thing against it at the moment is a little bit like it would be no shock if Jesus started this weekend.
There would be no shock
That's the
anytime
point.
any City player gets
Whereas
rotated.
unusually right now with Sterling, because of the no Sane,
Why does it matter if net at the end of the season he's still going to be the top 5 point scorer in strikers?
no, but from a captaincy point of view, you don't want that 1 point. That's the fear, right? Raheem Sterling right now is as safe as he's possibly ever going to be in that team. Like, I don't believe that he wants to play Mahrez or Bernardo Silva in that position.
Agreed.
I'm
I
not
agree
saying
with
I'm
you.
not saying that he won't, and at some point he probably will to give him a break. But right now, I think as it would stand, Sterling is going to start like 35 games or so if he was to stay fit all season. Like, it's not a concern. There is no reason with a free midweek before the internationals right now that you can't look at Raheem Sterling and say, that's my captain this week. You know, the only thing that puts me off captaining this week? I feel like he scored in every game and is due not to.
It's due a blank.
But then that's like not a reason not to
Yeah,
captain
it's
someone.
one of those weird statistical things. Like, you know, when you toss a coin heads or tails, right? And if you tossed a coin heads or tails and it came up heads, you're likely to want to go. Your mind says go tails
Yeah.
next but it's
But the
statistically
chances is
still
no
the
higher,
same.
yeah.
And it's exactly the same in FPL this week.
He sent a brilliant tweet out on Sunday, Sterling, responding to he was apologising to FPL managers for only scoring once.
Okay, yeah.
He's like these people banging on in my tweets like, I'm not going to score a hat trick every week. Like, sorry, I only got one, which is quite nice.
Yeah,
that kind
it's
of
funny.
thing. Yeah, Sterling's an absolute lock for my captain this week, and I think he will be for a lot of people. How many people own him? 40+%.
Well over,
Yeah,
yeah.
he'll be-
Sterling is the
He'll be
45.9.
very,
at the
very
moment.
highly captain this week, Raheem Sterling.
Couple more games to get through, one of which is going to cause you a little bit of pain. But before we do, let's talk about KDB, best midfielder in the world, and you've been banging on about it. If I've been banging on about,
trademarked by me, isn't it?
yeah, if I bang on about Allaire being worth it in the long term, why is he not in your team? And do you not feel like at some point, actually, this is a 200-point player at 9.7 million at the moment?
Look, the assist was fluky, and I think he's overrated. You know, excuse me, sorry. You know that I ended up going with Sterling, which was clearly the right decision in the end.
Yeah, but why not both?
I
This is what I'm feeling now. So every week, everybody probably does it. If you haven't played your wild card, you do have a think of what would I do if I play my wild card. And right now, my wild card would be built around how do I get Kevin De Bruyne and Raheem Sterling in with my big at the back. Like, he's the player that I probably regret not owning right now.
Yeah,
because
same.
of the assists and also the price rise. Like,
Same.
he's the one that I look at and I'm like, I want you, baby.
falling over ourselves at 10 million last year,
Yeah.
and then getting him back in like the second he was fit, and now looking at him going, yeah, you really are now. I mean, like,
I want that guy, man.
I mean,
There's
he's terrific. You're never going to captain him. He's going to tick you over points constantly. And when you least expect it, in like a game like at home to Liverpool, he's going to bang you out a goal and assist, mate, because he can do that at any time.
He's returned in every game so far.
So, I mean, yeah. Well,
What Raheem Sterling gives you in
I'll tell you my
explosiveness, he
concern.
gives you
I'll
in
tell you my
consistency.
concern a little bit. It's worth saying, obviously, Champions League draws on Thursday. Mm-hmm. That's important because City's run of fixtures is pretty straightforward for a while in the league. We've said that numerous times. And I think he's going to be a little bit conscious of overusing him. It's worth saying. This is not to put anybody going off De Bruyne. But I am looking at it and those guys defensively, and I know that certainly, especially for City, I might just be completely fucking wrong with Liverpool, but especially with City, they are going to finish this season with 19 plus clean sheets. I'm absolutely certain of it. And patience there might be rewarded. That said, like, my want to get a De Bruyne or Aguero in is honestly, truthfully, for me right now, far more than I want to get Mane or Salah.
I'm with you.
Far
That's
more.
what I'm saying. He's the one player, and the reason I bring it back is because you talk about him as in the way that you do. It's like, why doesn't that translate to getting him in? So, do you think that
Because I went for a big five at the back, but it would not be. I mean, I could.
But you could still figure out a way of affording him.
Oh, no problem at all. I mean, quite easy this week. I could go Walker to Lundstrom and Martial to De Bruyne, and it's done for a -4.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Well, I might. What I'm probably more likely to do is. No, yeah, that. I don't really want to go. I mean, I can go spares. I probably wouldn't go to Lundstrom, actually.
He's just consistent, and I like consistency in my FPL. This is why last year
I don't really want the Lundstrom decision. I'm not sure I want the Todd Cantwell decision either. They're great FPL assets for you. Don't get me wrong. I might be being stubborn about it. I might buy both this week. I might go -8, get De Bruyne and Aguero.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, you know you're tooting to,
Spurs
right?
0, Newcastle 1.
Yeah, well, I'm there.
We spoke about it on the Tottenham show. Like I
Yeah, I've
mentioned.
had my fucking rant. Talk about Wolves.
Get it out of the way for the people that don't listen to every bit of content that we put out. Ultimately, better side on the day one. Spurs just a bit toothless. I don't think you should worry too much about it. Or do I?
Yeah, go on, hit me.
Or do I? Some of the stats that I put at you, and even you came up with a couple that are floating around the radio and these pundits that are talking.
They've
Spurs,
always been there.
11 defeats in the last 21. Second half of the season, from January to the end of the season, you would have potentially finished 12th. Your, I wouldn't say only, but really only creative threat in Eriksen, not that you don't have a replacement for him. Lamella isn't Christian Eriksen, not starting. It's there is a concern. I think it's a concern. It's not a panic stations like it is at Watford, but you kind of want to see some improvement at Tottenham.
You didn't just say that out loud, did you?
Nah, but your standards are different now. You've been top four for
Yes,
3 or 4
yes,
years in a row.
yes. I mean,
Falling outside the top four is a
It's
disappointment.
massively frustrating. It's game week 3. I've spoken about it. The objective at the start of the season is to try and win the league. Right, well, that's gone. It's finished. Like literally one bad result. That's it. It's finished.
You want to see signs of something to support. That's the frustration with Saturday.
Not that I ever
Sunday.
thought we would. The one that frustrates, all I look at in terms of, for me as a Spurs target at the start of the season is, right, I want to be above 2 points per game. I know that if we finish 2 points per game, 76 points out of 38, it's never not been enough to finish top 4. The way that the clubs are falling over themselves the last 6 months, it will definitely be enough this year. Now, I'm concerned that if we win on Sunday, we're still behind it. Like, that quickly, you're behind it. So for us to stay above it, we now need to go and win 3 or 4 games back to back to get above that consistently. So I'm saying one bad result and you're behind it again. And you're playing catch-up, chasing. Now, admittedly, everybody else is as well, right?
Yeah, we talked about the league. There's 10
Arsenal are on it
teams.
at the moment.
Yeah.
But one bad result at the weekend, and suddenly they're behind Tottenham, Man United, and Chelsea.
You beat Arsenal, you leapfrog them.
Yeah.
You're on 7 points, they're on 6. But there's 10 teams in the league at the moment on 4 points,
Yep.
and 5 teams on 3
There's
points.
every chance we'll be 16th this time next week. I'm not silly.
15 teams separated by 1 point. I don't think I remember a league being this tight this early in the season.
I don't think this many teams have won. As we said earlier, there's only 2 teams haven't won yet.
Yeah.
That's astonishing.
Yeah,
There's
that
only
is.
4 that haven't lost, like
Yeah.
this early on. It's quite mad. It speaks volumes for the league a lot.
Yeah, I would like
And
to
how
see it continue for the rest of the
certain
year.
tactical setups, like what Newcastle and what Palace employed this weekend to frustrate, is giving some of these so-called bigger clubs
Trouble.
a problem consistently. And perhaps we should be less surprised about it. And, go back to obviously the discussion I had with Mig about, and he even said in his build-up, James really tried to put a spin on it in terms of like how it would be an awkward game for United in the way that Palace would set up. And it was. And for us, it was even worse, right? I mean, we were shocking. I know what people want to hear who didn't listen to the short form pod. What are you doing with Kane? I'm keeping him. End.
I'm keeping him, but I'm not keeping him with the same confidence potentially that you are. I'm still
it's not a
little bit
debate.
concerned about it.
Lucas Moura, I'm strongly considering a sell-in. It probably depends a lot on Martial's fitness.
Yeah.
Kane, no, he's not going anywhere at the moment.
Wolves rescued their. Let's get into Wolves because we've been going for an hour and 10, mate.
Credit
and we
to
haven't done
Newcastle
any
because
questions.
on the short form pod earlier, I did shout them out. Massive credit. They had some fucking heroes back there. Lummit and Lascelles. Dummett, Lascelles, and Fabian Schär's a very good centre half. The 3 of them particularly were pretty heroic at the back. Hayden and Longstaff did plenty of donkey sitting in front, screening work. The 5 of them, it's not to discredit the others, but the 5 of them particularly did a really, really good job for Newcastle.
Let's talk about the last game and then let's get into some Twitter questions because we've been talking for a while.
That's what we do.
And we're not doing more than just the one pod today. We've got a bit more recording to do, mate.
all right.
Keep
Yeah,
it
I know.
talking. I want to save your voice.
Why did I set it all up when I can hardly breathe?
Exactly. Well, these things happen, and I don't even know if at the later recording with Sean and Bradley, I'll be paying much attention, mate, because I need to switch on Newport County versus West Ham
Oh,
United
go fuck yourself.
in the
Suj.
fucking whatever round. Is it
By
the
the
first
time,
round?
by the
Second
time this
round?
pod goes out,
What
you'll be
round is
1-0
it?
down. It's the second round.
Yeah,
My-
second round. There we go.
My club
I
don't
need to
enter
watch
this
that.
round, man.
No, they don't. But
Yes,
I
catch
reckon
the
Newport
correspondence
County will give you
on
a fucking
Thursday
game.
is Sean Spirit Blues, Bradley Parker. Wolves, talk about Wolves. I know Bradley was disappointed with the way they played yesterday.
Rescued
Thought
a
they
point.
got away with it.
Rescued a point in the 97th minute. When you get a penalty in the 97th minute, always going to be. But then Jimenez steps up, takes the goal, and nicks all 3 bonus points.
Burnley doing Burnley things. We should no longer be surprised. Should have won this game on chances. Ashley Barnes, brilliant again, right? His goal was so good. He just, like I said after game week 1 when they played Southampton, he don't think twice. Like if he sees those white sticks, he'll hit it.
And he hits the target more often
I mean,
than
that
not
was a
as well.
beautiful strike. No blame on the goalkeeper on
No.
Patricio on that one. But he just takes the strike early all the time.
Barnes?
I'd see a lot of teams going with Pookie Barnes now. You can see that where there's so many started with say King and Jota, right?
Yeah.
And you can see that you got the same setup now, and now you're going like Pookie Barnes. Was it
4 goals.
8
season.
between them, isn't it?
Who?
Pookie and Barnes.
8 what?
They've scored 8 goals so far.
Pookie
between
scored
them.
5 and Barnes has scored 4. So actually
Oh,
9.
9. Jesus Christ.
Mm.
It's not going to last, though, is it?
It will. I think it will.
Yeah.
I think
But
the two of them can continue at the rate of
going to be
1
fighting
in
for the
3.
golden boot on like 42 and 37 goals
Yeah,
respectively.
something like that. That would be something else.
I think
Mike, all right?
Yeah, it's going for a walk. Shit happens.
Oh.
It's really gone for a walk.
James
now.
is touching the mics at the moment, and Manchild is
Oh,
luckily not in the room. He will
I
go
fucking hold it. It's
mental.
just like holding a big knob on it. I'm not used to that.
That looks all right. Look at it. It'll be all right.
You think?
Yeah.
All right, crack on.
And if your knob looks like that, Mike, fuck it, hell.
I noticed Chris Wood.
That's one for the YouTubers.
I noticed Chris Wood has dropped to 6.3.
Yes.
No one's
Double
gonna.
drop.
No one's gonna look at him, are they?
No, definitely not.
You know what will happen the second you buy Ashley Barnes if you haven't already. I'm just saying.
He's going to blank. Chris Wood's going to score.
Chris
Chris
Wood's
Wood
gonna
was
score.
on form pre-season. Dwight McNeil picked up the assist again. He hasn't gone up in price. Still stupidly low ownership on 0.4. That's
It's
2 assists in 2.
expensive.
2 assists in 2 from
You're
his 6
comparing him to
million
people in the
range.
same price now, like Mount and James, and it's too expensive. I
agreed.
really like Dwight McNeil, but I don't think that's not the Burnley asset you'd go to, right? It's just not.
Pre-season, I didn't go with any Wolves assets other than Dendonko as an enabler because of Europa League. I think that prophecy now is playing out as wise because they're what we're seeing in the Europa League, we're not seeing in the league from them yet.
I can't stress like how shit it is to play on a Sunday
Yeah,
after the Thursday. Particularly when you got early ones. Wolves wasn't an early one this week, but then like obviously they've got a big game against Torino and they've got a positive lead. They should go through. They're 3-2 up, and then you play Everton Sunday lunchtime. And actually, with injuries, I see Gabamin's out for 6 weeks for Everton.
yes.
So they should have problems in that area. Actually, Wolves probably should expose them. Will they?
Followed by Chelsea at home, then Palace away, and Watford at home, then City away. 3 of the next 5 look very tough. As much as I flirted
Wolves
with
are not
Jota-
so much a fixture worry. I tell you what would be really
Yeah, they are.
interesting
With
with
the Europa
Wolves,
League, I'm not
if they
interested.
do go through, what you want from them is you want them to have some Mickey Mouse teams. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean Mickey Mouse, to the extent that he would look at it and go, I win piss this no matter what.
Yeah.
That's what if you're an owner, and the same would apply for United and Arsenal if you've got their assets. That's what you want to see. You want to see the sort of draw where you be going, ah man, Ashley Young's going to get his run out there. Ozil can play in that for Arsenal. Like he'll stay with Aubameyang and Lacazette in the league or whatever. That's what you want to see. Well, Wolves, it's just too much for concern. I'd love to have Jota and Jimenez in my team. I don't know where it begins
No.
or where you'd feel comfortable doing it at the moment.
Yep, agreed. I'm with you on that. Let's wrap up the games there,
Do
shall
some
we?
Twitter cues.
We need to get into some Twitter questions. The truth is that we've probably answered a bunch of these Twitter questions.
Well, ask the ones we didn't.
Yeah, but the thing is, I haven't read them all. Okay, Dan, FPL Local Law, thanks for coming down on the weekend, mate. Appreciate it.
Much love, Dan. I hope you got home all right. I'm guessing if he tweeting, he must have.
Is Kane a fraud? Does he need to go before the weekend for Pookie, or do I give him one more chance?
You know the answer, Dan. Keep him.
Right,
You have to say, I'm obviously very biased, but it looks like Suja's keeping as well.
Harry Kane.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if I sell him, you won't know about it until after deadline.
Did you watch Spurs on Sunday?
And no, man, I was working.
Oh, you probably wouldn't keep him if you watched it.
I was working, man. I was in the warehouse down here.
For more on Kane, please listen to the Tottenham pod earlier. I kind of did Kane and movements and dropping deep and all that shit on there.
Andy Martin at FPL_tactician. I think I might make this Q&A just people that bothered to turn up for Planet FPL Live 2 and everyone else can wait. No, not really. When am I bringing Haller back in? It could be as soon as this week. It could be as soon as this week. I'm not convinced yet of my transfers, so it could be as soon as this week. Norwich at home are struggling defensively. Plus then Villa away. If I'm not going to buy him now, it kind of begs the question when. He's very unlikely at 3.7% ownership to drop from 7.4 to a cheaper price this season. I can't see him
You
going
see
to
that
Madrid.
wasted 2 transfers by selling Haller and getting him back. Kevin De Bruyne could have been your fucking team by now.
Yeah, He could have, but you might be doing the same fucking thing with Martial if he doesn't get fit. So don't worry.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, let's look at FPL Corf at Corf FPL. I don't know if I'm no, he's answering another question.
Come on, keep up.
Sorry. The way that they put.
Whilst
these
you're just letting
questions
through,
confused me.
I can see it happening again. And fair game, you might be quite new listeners to that. The second you send me a screenshot of your team, your question is not getting read out. Right, honestly, it's just too boring for the listeners. If you want to do it privately, I don't mind.
Chris Tellez wants to know whether Pepe
But sorry to interrupt. I did open up my DMs for everybody last week.
yeah.
Like you can request it. I've shut that shit back down. Carry on.
You get a lot.
Ah, fuck that. Carry on.
Pepe and or Lacazette as differentials for the next few game weeks, given Arsenal's run of fixtures. Obviously, Derby's never an easy game, so you can't really.
I have no idea how Arsenal will set up this weekend. I would think that Lacazette, Aubameyang, and Pepe would all play with probably Pepe left. Pepe right, Aubameyang left, and Lacazette through the middle. Similar to how they finished the game against Burnley, I would have thought. But I don't know. 352 will probably know better than me. He's the man to ask.
Yeah,
Adam knows his fucking onions.
I feel for Lacazette a little because based on his performances and his ability, he doesn't deserve to be rotated.
That was a big call taking him out the differential team this week for Vardy, mate.
Yeah.
More of that on Friday. Next.
Asim Nunez, is it too late to get on the Pookie party? I was actually going to think about this episode starting with a list of Pookie phrases that we're not allowed to use. Pookie train, Pookie plane, Pookie party, fucking Pookie anything.
Let me tell you right now, right? I own Timu Pookie, like probably a lot of you do. I'm sick of that fucking gif.
Yes.
I'll stop it now.
In answer to Asim's question, is it too late to get on the Pookie party? Well, the reality is we said that about Jimenez about 50 times last season, and it was never too late. I think Pookie, based on Norwich's performances, and it's not just about his performances, his goals scored versus his XG, he's a great finisher all round. Norwich are going to create chances.
The answer
get him in, be
to
done with
your
it.
question is it too late? They're playing West Ham this weekend. You decide.
Yeah, exactly.
Next question.
That's a fair point. The next question, honest to God, we don't defend well, right? We haven't kept a clean sheet this season. So read into that what you will. Is Allaire just as essential as Pookie and Barnes after his performance versus Watford? So
I can't believe you're getting more grief here than I am. What a touch.
This is more. This is now people genuinely going to 3 mid-tier strikers. There are no budgets in there, but 3 lower to mid-tier strikers.
No, I don't think so. I think there's
So-
a lot of people playing around, like I said, with kind of like King, Jota, the people in that valuation. The chances are, if you've made any movements and you've got 1 million in the bank or something, it's easy to get to Allaire, isn't it? A lot of people decided to say Wilson on that as well. So you're probably in and around that valuation.
Yeah, Callum Wilson, what to do?
Just my thoughts on Allaire is very impressive at the weekend.
Loves a little overhead
Watford,
kick.
yeah, no, great, brilliant finish. And I actually really liked his second goal, the fact that he got into the position.
Correct.
I like that, and Anderson waits correctly, and Allaire gets into the position where you're gonna score the goal. I like that, really good goal.
Was that Buffet? Is that what you'd call Buffet?
As a buffet ball from
Buffet.
Felipe Anderson, yeah,
Okay.
I'd go with that. It wasn't. I mean, David Luiz sold Salah a whole buffet, didn't he? Yeah, Watford though, and I don't know. I'm worried for them. I'm worried for Stephen.
There are a bunch of questions that have come in that we have really covered, like how you guys feeling about triple Liverpool defence. I don't know if that's a poke or a question, Stuart, but we're still holding on for now. Plenty of people asking about Big at the back has been replaced by Bog at the back, where you can just find budget players.
There's a decent one from Callum.
Yeah, that was the one I was gonna read actually.
Go on, Em.
McGinn or Ceballos?
McGinn.
Ceballos played as part of a front 3 as opposed to the midfield 2 or 3. Do you think you see that happening more regularly with him? Further forward, I actually don't think he was as effective. I think he was particularly good at getting the ball off the back 4
Well, I mean,
last time. So
he nearly created a great goal for Mane, didn't he? Some fucking assist that. Look, I kind of cautioned on this with Ceballos after the Burnley game, first home game. all nice and dandy. Burnley set up a 4-4-2, although they'll give you trouble. It does allow you to have a lot of the ball as well. Different challenge, obviously, at the weekend gone. Would predict now that he'll walk off the pitch as man of the match at the weekend. That's probably fucking written. I'm not desperate to get him in. I would bet that, and you don't need to make that sort of choice over a season, but I bet McGinn outscores him.
Jarvo at A Jarvis, he's talking about Kane versus Aguero.
I'll tell you why, just to elaborate on that, is the impact of having Pepe in that team with Aubameyang and Lacazette, is that I think he's going to have to be deeper.
He will play deeper, but it's just the price differential at that point from Pepe to Ceballos. McGinn versus Ceballos. I'm a Ceballos owner. I got him at the start of the season. I'm going to hold him till the end of the season, I think.
They're both decent shouts, by the way. It's not a bad call if you go the other way.
No. Given the value in midfield, is 4-5-1 as a formation too risky with only one playing sub?
Asked by... You asked the question.
Oh, sorry. FPL Enormous. Quite a cool little emoji there.
Yeah, cool.
Enormous.
I see what you've done there.
What?
Anyway, I'll get the mic back in my hand, shall I? 4-5-1 with one playing sub. You're talking about having like Wickham and Greenwood on your bench. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah.
I mean, there's every chance that if Martial's out, that Greenwood will start this weekend, by the way. Could become a big call by the weekend.
I don't know if you should say things like that. People get all excited and they start buying these players and they don't play.
I think if you've got him and Martial's out, there's every chance he'll play and you should consider starting with him. I think Southampton will beat him, though.
4-5-1. The thing with 4-5-1 is that there are some good options up front at good value prices. Like we talked about Barnes and Pukki and so on and so on. So to limit yourself to only one of them, are you going to do what? Go with the premium in Aguero? Or are you going to go with the budget in Pukki or mid-tier?
No.
Tricky.
No. Have two up front. Have two up front. And until you can get to a point where I said a few years ago when I wouldn't have Spurs players, not last season but the season before, there was a period where I said to you a few times that I would just go 4-5-1 with Kane up front. Fuck it.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't feel like you'd have enough confidence in that at the moment. It does allow you certain things, but it takes away from others.
Yeah. FPL_Skippy. G'day, mate. If you are actually in Australia.
That feels a little racist.
No, it's it's just using my Antipodean accent, mate. Thoughts on Mason Mount? If Martial's injury is longer than the weekend, could he be a viable replacement? Even if Martial is not injured, Mount now at 6.2.
Well, it depends, right? Because not a lot of people are going to be sitting there like, say, Martial and Mora, like me. You probably just got one in that value. So is it viable to downgrade like that? Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I've got Perez and Ceballos, and Ceballos is my starter. But I've got the money to go to Maddison and also Mason Mount. And at that point, I've got a much more stable midfield.
Mount or Ceballos? Think about that for a sec.
I am thinking about it.
All right.
It's difficult.
I'm just trying to help.
It's difficult. Like the thing is, at that price, with the Mason Mounts of the world, you're only going to have one. You're unlikely to have two or three. You're definitely not going to have three, but maybe two. And the other players in that bracket, Harry Wilson, McGinn, Ceballos, and so on, they're not all going to score every week. So you get them, you have to kind of hold and ride out the weeks that they do well and not try and chop and change too much.
Nobody's going to score every week. I feel like we forget that sometimes.
No, so jumping on, jumping off is not a great strategy really there. But if you get Mason Mount, I think you really do need, as long as he's playing week in, week out, crack on.
Yeah, just bear in mind to wait on news for Mount as well. There's every chance he could miss the game as well.
He's not a rush transfer, is he? He's not likely to go up to 6.3 this week, in my opinion.
No.
A few people wanted to know your opinion on the Tottenham game. For those, I recommend you listen to Tottenham, which is our slightly longer focus just on Tottenham and West Ham that we put out earlier today, and we had a good reaction on. Pukki and Cantwell we have discussed.
I saw Paul Merson on the debate last night. I have to say, Paul Merson and Jamie are fucking a pair of fucking clowns on that debate last night on Sky, honestly. Talking about shit. I mean, Rachel Woods, I think, forgive me if I've got that wrong, it was the presenter, and she was telling them about VAR. And she was absolutely spot on, making them two look like clowns. Merson predicts a 4-1 win for Arsenal at the weekend.
Oh, I'd love to see him put his money where his mouth. Actually, no, he had a gambling problem, didn't he? So let's not encourage that behaviour.
Anyway,
Anyway, end of the show.
you can all go and attack Paul Merson if my team did a business on Sunday. Yeah, I don't think my voice can hold that much.
Yeah, and James will be humbly
Apologies.
apologising to Paul Merson when and if Arsenal win 4-1.
Fuck Paul Merson.
We've got to wrap this show up, mate.
Yeah, apologies for any snivelling you might have heard during this or my voice.
To be fair, you did quite a lot of the talking. I didn't get to watch
You always
anything
do.
on the Sunday.
It's how the podcast survives.
Yeah, that's why people drop off after 15 minutes, which is when you start.
Yeah, there is
listening.
that, yeah.
I'll show you the graph. It's like that.
I'm going to go and rejuvenate myself because
Yes.
we're recording with Spirit Blues and Park_Bradley for Clash of the Correspondents, which will go out on
Yes.
Thursday in 10 minutes.
Let's wrap this up. Anything else to add, James?
No, good luck, everybody, in game week 4. I hope you had a successful game week 3. Patience.
Yes, it's a Saturday. Back to a Saturday deadline. No Friday night football. The early kickoff being Southampton Man United.
No
so you
Friday or Monday.
you can take a little bit more time to soak in the press conference.
Who's your FPL captain this weekend?
Undecided, mate. People will have to tune into the final plan, which is our Friday podcast, to decide on that.
We fucking know it's Sterling, don't we?
Brighton at home, Sterling.
Yes, Sterling.
I'm going to put it out there. There is a fair chance that I may captain Pookie this week.
What, against West Ham?
Yeah, man.
On that bombshell.
I'm not going to enjoy it.
No.
But there's a fair chance I may captain Pookie. You've seen our defence. If Agbonna's
You're
still...
not going to captain Pookie against West Ham instead of Sterling against Brighton, mate. Stop it.
You don't come to the London Stadium week in, week out, mate.
Stop
So,
it. I've been twice.
yeah, but
Spent
week in,
15
week
quid
out...
on binoculars twice.
Yeah.
It's enough, mate.
Now you can use them at your place to find Harry Kane because he was missing last game. There we go. Anything else to add?
Yeah, man, I got a nice tan on Sunday.
Oh, yeah. This is something we discussed off air about how your £1 billion stadium doesn't have shade for the fans.
The £1 billion stadium can't help with the fucking sun is, can it?
No, but they could have had a bit of shade.
Oh, yeah, because you'd really avoid that at your place, wouldn't you?
Where I sit, I don't get an issue.
Is the roof even over your head?
Yeah, the roof's over my head.
Yeah, just about.
The roof's over my head.
I reckon Chris sits right, FI Addict, he sits right low behind the goal, doesn't he? I bet he gets wet sometimes. I bet you.
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I don't know. But anyway, we're digressing on stuff
Yeah.
that is not relevant.
We should have ended on the fact you were saying you're going to captain Pookie against West Ham.
No, I didn't say I was going to do it. I said there's a very small chance that I could potentially do it. But Sterling 4-3 is the obvious, sensible choice.
All right.
Anything else? That's it. Ciao for now.
Keep music, man, child.
Stay tuned
Much
this week.
love.
We've got Clash of the Correspondents coming at you. We've got Sky FF coming at you.
This pod's never going to end, is
And
it?
we've got the final plan coming at you. Bye.
Cue music. Love you all. Thanks. Share, retweet, like, boom. Mwah.
Messi, ancora Messi,